Withdrawal of a partner means one of the partners will be leaving the partnership, will be going out of the partnership. If we are having three partners, A, B, and C, C wants to leave the partnership, or A and B agreed with C that he's going to leave the partnership, this is called withdrawal of a partner. يعني انسحاب شريك، واحد من الشركاء هينسحب من البارتنرشip. The first case about withdrawal is withdrawal at book value. The partner will be leaving the business and will be getting from the assets, part from the assets equivalent to his capital, so we call it withdrawal at book value. يعني الشريك هينسحب وهياخد من الشركة assets بتساوي حقه في رأس المال بالظبط، ولا أكتر ولا أقل. الكيس دي بنسميها withdrawal at book value. You are given example, given a balance sheet for a partnership having three partners, G, H, and A. They distribute profits or losses between them in a ratio of 1 to 2 to 1. Given the balance sheet, one of the partners, who is A, decided to withdraw from the partnership. Before A withdraw from the partnership, we need to reevaluate the assets and liabilities of the partnership. Because he's leaving the partnership, he needs to get his rights according to the market value of the assets, not according to the book value of the assets. For example, the land's value was 55,000. That's the book value. When they first purchased the land, its value was 55,000. But now it's up to 101,000. The market value of the land is evaluated to be 101,000. So the partner A, when leaves the partnership, he would like to get his share in the assets evaluated at the market value, not at the book value. He deserves to get his right with land evaluated at 101, not only 55. A هيسيب الشركة، هينسحب من الشركة. الاسيتس بتاعت البارتنرشيب في الاكاونتنج، كل الاسيتس بتفضل بالبوك فاليو بتاعتها، بالثمن اللي احنا اشتريناها بيه. البوك فاليو دي مختلفة عن الماركت فاليو. مثلا اللاند كانت 55، دلوقتي بقت 101 according للإكزامبل. فالاسيتس ممكن تزيد وممكن تقل. في اسيتس ممكن تزيد، اسيتس تانية ممكن تقل. زي هنا في الإكزامبل ده الانفنتوري used to be 44,000. Now it's reevaluated at 38,000. So we are having a loss in the inventory. We are having decrease in the value of the inventory. When a partner is leaving the partnership, withdrawing from the partnership, he gets his rights from the assets according to its market value, not according to its book value. So we need to reevaluate the assets. If we are having increase in the value of one of the assets, we consider it as profit. In case of having decrease in the value of one of the assets, we consider it as loss. Whether we are having profit or loss, it would be distributed to the partners according to the way they agree to distribute profits or losses between them. And in this example, it says they agree to distribute profits or losses in a ratio of 1 to 2 to 1. So let us see what's required. In this example, you are required first to journalize the revaluation of the assets. And here it says the assets evaluated was inventory and land. Maybe we have evaluation for building, for any other assets. And then you are required to journalize the withdrawal of the partner A, receiving 31,000 cash for his equity. And it says that partner A will be leaving the partnership and he's going to get 31,000 for leaving his capital. And you need to show the effect on the balance sheet after the revaluation, and then you show again the effect on the balance sheet after the withdrawal of the partner. Before we go to the solution, just remember that we are having a loss from the inventory because the value of the inventory, the book value of the inventory was recorded to be 44,000, and it says that an independent appraiser revalues the inventory at 38,000. يعني هي كانت 44 وعملنا لها إعادة تقييم حسب الماركت فاليو بتاعتها فبقت 38. يبقى احنا عندنا هنا loss في الانفنتوري. الديفرنس ده اللي هو اللوس ده 6000. For the land, it's opposite. The land used to be 55. The independent appraiser revalues the land to be 101. So we are having a higher value for the land up from 55. The difference is considered a profit. And this difference is 38,000. Sorry, not 30. It's not 38,000, it's 46,000 profit. The value of the land used to be 55 and it's reevaluated at 101. So we are having a difference of 46,000 profit from the land to be distributed between the partners using a ratio of 1 to 2 to 1. For the solution, we start by the journal to record the revaluation of the assets. You notice the first one was credit for the inventory, debit for the capital. Inventory was credit because we had a loss in the inventory. And to decrease the value of the asset, it's recorded in the credit side. Assets increase debit while decrease credit. So inventory was credited to record the loss in inventory, to lower the value of inventory. And this 6,000 loss was divided between the partners according to the ratio of 1 to 2 to 1. 1 plus 2 plus 1, 4. So it's 6,000 times 1 over 4. We get the 1,500 part 4 G. 6,000 times 2 over 4. We get 3,000 the part 4H. 6,000 times 1 over 4, we get 1,500 the part 4A. Then by this way, we distributed the 6,000 loss in inventory between the partners. Because it's loss, the capital was debited. Capital decreased by loss in the debit side. Capital decreased debit while increased credit. That's why in the second journal entry for the land, if you remember from the previous slide, land was increased by a profit of 46,000. This 46,000 will be debit land because increase in assets is debit side. This 46,000 will be divided between the partners in a ratio of 1 to 2 to 1. So 46,000 multiplied by 1 over 4, we get 11,500 part 4G. 46,000 multiplied by 2 over 4, we get 23,000 part 4H. 46,000 times 1 over 4, we get 11,500 part 4A. In this case of land was debit because it's decreased in the value of the land. The difference between the book value of the land and the market value of the land was 46,000. The land used to be 55 and now it's 101, so the difference 46,000. Profit in land, increase in land was divided between the partners, their capital credit because it's profit. Then you need to show the balance sheet after the revaluation of the assets. For the cash, there is no change. The same cash copied from the given example. For the inventory, it appears as its market value, 38,000. For the land, it appears by the market value, 101,000. For the building, there is no change because the example didn't mention that we are having any revaluation for the building. In the other side, no changes in the liability. For G, capital and H capital and A capital, you notice that the beginning capital, you subtract from it the value of the loss from the inventory, and you add to it the value of the profit from the land. For example, for G capital used to be 54,000. That's in the given balance sheet. It was 54,000. He had a decrease in his capital by 1,500 from the journal of the inventory. And he had a plus to his capital by 11,500 from the profit of the land. Then his capital will appear in the balance sheet after revaluation by 64,000, which is 54,000 minus 1,500 plus 11,500 equals 64,000. And the same will be done for both H and A. Their beginning balances, you subtract from it the part that was given to the partner from the loss, and you add to it the part given to the partner from the profit. You get partner H capital to be 63,000 and partner A capital is now 31,000. So partner A, the one who is withdrawing from the business, his capital, his equity value is 31,000. And how much he's getting for leaving the business? They decided that he's going to get 31,000 cash to leave the business. So let us go to the next slide and see the journal entry to record the withdrawal of partner A. His capital with the value of 31,000 was debited totally to close his capital because he's leaving the business. So I'm closing his capital by putting his capital in the debit side by the whole value of his capital. And cash will be given to him from the partnership. So cash is going out in the credit side. So the journal entry to record the withdrawal of partner A will be debit capital A and credit cash. Then you prepare the balance sheet after withdrawal of the partner. You'll see that the cash was down by 31,000. You subtract from the cash 31,000. So now it is 8,000. Inventory will be by the same market value, land by the same market value. When you prepare the balance sheet after the withdrawal, you do not look for the balance sheet given in the first example. No, you look for the balance sheet that you prepare after the revaluation. For the balance sheet you prepared after the revaluation, everything is the same, except only cash was reduced by 31,000. We subtract 31,000 from the cash. So now it's 8,000, and we just removed the capital of A, and everything has no change. G capital, H capital, every other thing is the same. That's the case of withdrawal at book value. What's withdrawal at book value? The capital of A was equal to the assets which was cash given to him. يعني رأس ماله كان بيساوي 31,000 وهو خد كاش من الأسيتس 31,000. الاثنين متساويين. We'll notice in the next cases that we are going to have a difference between the two sides. In some cases, the withdrawing partner may get cash or may get any other assets less than or more than his equity. So it's loss for him, a profit for the remaining partners. Profit for him, it would be a loss for the remaining partners. If he's getting assets more or less than his equity, then we are not in case 1. In case 1, the owner, the partner withdrawing will be getting assets equivalent to his equity. And that's the case that we just explained. Let us go to the next exercise. In this case, it's withdrawal at less than book value, which means the partner will be leaving and will be getting from the assets less than his equity. Will be getting from the assets value less than the value of his capital after revaluation. And it's the same example. The only difference between this example and the one before it is after the revaluation, you are required to journalize the revaluation the same as the previous exercise. But when he says that the partner is withdrawing, he said that he receives 10,000 cash and a note payable for 15,000, which means he's going to get 10,000 cash and he's going to get 15,000 later on. He's not going to get them now. So it would be a liability on the partnership. It's a note payable, accounts payable on the partnership to the partner who is leaving the business, which means he's going to get a total value of 25,000. But he's not getting the 25,000 right now as cash. He will be getting 10,000 cash and 15,000 will be paid to him later on. So it will be recorded as a liability. But at the end, he's getting a value of 25,000 for his equity. And if you remember from the previous slide, from the previous exercise, his capital was 31,000. Now he will be getting 25,000, which is less than the book value of his equity. It's considered a profit for the other remaining partners because this partner left the business with assets less than what he deserves. So it's considered a profit for them. And it says that G and H, the other remaining partners, decided to share profits or losses in a ratio of 1 to 2 after the withdrawal of the partner A. You are required to show the effect on the balance sheet both after the revaluation of the assets and after the withdrawal. It's the same as the previous exercise. You notice that the land was 55,000 and after revaluation we had the land 101,000 up from 55,000, so we are having a profit in the land. For the inventory used to be 44,000. Now it's evaluated as 38,000, so we are having a loss in the inventory. And you notice it's the same. For the solution, you start by preparing a journal entry in which you record the loss from inventory by 6,000, the difference between the value of the inventory recorded in the balance sheet and the value of the inventory after revaluation made a loss of 6,000, and this 6,000 will be divided between the partners in a ratio of 1 to 2 to 1, the same as we said in the previous case. No difference for the inventory and also no difference for the land. The land was reevaluated at a value higher than the book value by 46,000. So the 46,000 will be divided between the partners in a ratio of 1 to 2 to 1 as increase in their capital. So the loss in inventory made the capital debit and inventory credit. The profit from the land made the land debit and capital credit. Then you prepare the balance sheet after revaluation. It's the same as the balance sheet that we prepared before. Everything is the same, only the value of inventory now is 38 and the value of the land is 101. And the partner's capital was recalculated. The beginning balance of G capital was 54,000 minus the loss from the inventory 1,500 plus the profit from the land 11,500, we get 64,000 as his capital. And the same for H and A, and you notice it's the same capital of A, 31,000. Then A will be leaving the partnership. His capital will be closed by 31,000. How to close his capital? You make his capital debit by 31,000. What he's going to get from the partnership? The example said he's not going to get all his right as cash. He's going to get only 10,000 cash and he's going to receive a note payable by 15,000. Let us see the solution, the journal entry for the withdrawal of the partner. Here you see in the journal entry, A capital was debited by 31,000. Cash was paid out from the partnership. That's why cash was credited by 10,000. And notes payable is credit because it's a liability. And you know liabilities are recorded in the credit side. and the liability here is 15,000. But we are having a difference between his capital, which is 31,000, cash and note given to him were only 25,000. The difference here is the difference between 31,000 and 25,000, the difference is 6,000. This 6,000 is considered as a profit for G and H. G and H are happy to have partner A leaving the business with his capital's value 31,000 and he's only receiving 25,000, 10,000 cash and 15,000 will be paid later on. So all what he's going to get is 25,000 while his capital is 31,000. The difference is a profit for them. They are happy to have this profit. So their capital is credited by the difference. This 6,000 will be divided between them in a ratio of 1 to 2 because the exercise said that G and H will distribute any profits or losses between them in a ratio of 1 to 2 after the withdrawal of the partner A. The difference 6,000 multiplied by 1 over 3. Why 3? You add 1 plus 2, it's 3. 1 over 3 multiplied by 6,000, you get 2,000. That's the part that will be added to the capital of G. 6,000 times 2 over 3, 4,000. That's the part that will be added to the capital of H. Then you prepare the new balance sheet after the withdrawal. You see that the cash was reduced by only 10,000, so now it's 29,000. Again, when you prepare the balance sheet after withdrawal, you look for the balance sheet that you prepared after revaluation, and you change the items that changed. Everything else remains the same. Cash now is 29,000 because we subtract from it 10,000. All the other assets the same. When you go to the liabilities, you'll see the liabilities now increased by 15,000. The liabilities used to be 80,000. Now it's 80,000 plus 15,000 because the partnership now owes this partner 15,000. So now the liability is 95,000. For G capital used to be 64,000. Now you added to it 2,000 profit after the withdrawal. And for H, 63,000 plus 4,000, now it's 67,000, and both sides are equal. Let us go to our last chapter, which is liquidation of a partnership. Liquidation of a partnership means the partners will be liquidating the partnership. They are going to close the partnership. They don't want to work as partners anymore. So we call it liquidation. Why it's called liquidation? Because its first step is to sell the assets and change all the assets into liquid money, cash money. So the first step in liquidation is to sell all the assets. If you have accounts receivable, you collect the accounts receivable. If you have land, building, inventory, whatever, you have to sell everything and change all the assets into cash. And then the next step is to repay the liabilities. You have to repay the liabilities, and then what remains from the cash will be distributed to the partners. Here is a simple example showing liquidation. You are given a partnership having two partners, A and B, and you are given the balance sheet of the partnership, and it says that the partners decided to liquidate the partnership. So they sold the equipment for 50,000. You notice the value of the equipment used to be 80. It's sold for 50. So we are having a loss from selling the equipment. The land was sold for 400,000. The land used to be 200, now it's 400. So we are having a profit from selling the land. And we are only able to collect 35,000 of the accounts receivable. So the accounts receivable is now 35,000 instead of 40,000. And it says as a settlement for all the receivable. Yani I decided to get my accounts receivable instead of having 40,000, instead of collecting 40,000, I'm going to collect only 35,000 because I need to collect my money now. So I collected the money less than the value. So we are having assets sold out. And you know, when assets are sold out, the assets are credit. Assets coming in the business, when you purchase the assets are debit. When you sell the assets are credit. So the assets going out here and changing to cash. Let us see the solution and see how we prepare the journal. You notice the first journal entry in liquidation about selling the assets and collecting the value cash. The cash collected in the debit side. Cash collected was the value of the equipment collected 50,000 and the value collected for the land 400,000 and the accounts receivable collected 35,000. These were given in the example in the previous slide. They total up as a total cash collected from selling the assets 485,000. You debit the cash by 485,000 and you credit the assets going out by their book value. The equipment credited by 80, land credited by 200, accounts receivable credited by 40. Then we are having a difference, which is considered as profit from selling the assets. This difference will be distributed between the partners A and B equally, because in the exercise it says that they distribute any profits or losses between them equally. The difference is 165,000. 485,000 minus 80 to 140. You subtract all these book value of assets from the cash collected. You get the difference of 165,000. This 165,000 divided by 2, 82,500, a profit for each partner. Profit for partner makes his capital credit. So the difference is a profit divided between the partners equally, because in the exercise it says any profits or losses distributed equally. That's the first journal, the first one, for selling the assets, liquidating the assets, and changing all the assets to cash. The next step in liquidation is to repay the liability. And we are having two liabilities. Loan, which was 100,000, accounts payable 60,000. Closing the liability makes the liability debit. You know, liabilities are created in the credit side while closed in the debit side. So this journal entry is to close the liability in the debit side and pay cash, 160,000. So cash in this journal is out. You notice in the first one, cash was in. We sold the assets, collected cash. We repay the liabilities, we pay cash. So cash out is credit. And then you are required to prepare or show the balance sheet after liquidation, after selling the assets and after the repayment of the liability. You notice that you only have cash. And the cash is calculated by the cash in, which was 485,000. You add to it the cash that you already had in the beginning given balance sheet, and you subtract from it the cash going out, which was 160,000. If you look in the given balance sheet, you see the cash was 120,000. So 120,000, the available cash before liquidation, you add to it the cash collected from selling the assets, 485,000, and you subtract from it the cash paid to repay the liability, 160,000. So it's 120,000 plus 485,000 minus 160,000. You get cash 445,000 in the balance sheet after liquidation, after selling the assets and after repayment of liabilities. For the liabilities and owner's equity side, you notice there is no liabilities anymore. We removed the loan and we removed the accounts payable. They are already repaid. And for the capitals of the partners, the balance of the capital of A used to be 100,000. You add to it 82,500, so it's 100,000 beginning balance plus 82,500, his part of profit, the part of profit given to him. You add 100,000 plus 82,500, the value of A's capital 182,500. For B's capital, for B, the beginning balance was 180,000. You add to it 82,500, so 180 plus 82,500, you get B's capital to be 262,500. The last step is to close the capital of the partners, because we are liquidating the partnership, no partnership anymore. So their capitals will be closed in the debit side. You remember in the withdrawal of the partner withdrawing, his capital used to be debit because he's leaving the business. Now A and B also are leaving the business. So their capitals are debited by the values of their capitals. And they are going to get the cash from the business. So cash is going out of the partnership. So cash is credit. Now you closed the capital, you closed the cash. There is no balance sheet anymore because already the partnership is liquidated.